It is crucial to the health and well being of humans that the human mind controls not only physiological processes, but also social psychological processes. In order to create meaningful and genuine relationships within a family and in society at large, social psychological skills are essential. In spite of our inheritance of intellectual abilities, our academic growth and development are heavily influenced by our mental health and well being. Some children are born with incapacitated mental conditions that adversely affect their development physically, academically, or socio-psychologically. Autism is one such condition. Although some people think in vivid pictures, most of us think in a combination of words and blurry, indiscriminate images. Today, we'll talk about autism and visual thought. Welcome to Autism Answers. We talk about autism with the goal of sharing knowledge and bringing awareness to light. Our goal is to make videos that are easy to understand, so many be able to understand and develop a deeper awareness of autism. With that said, we'll get into it. A child with autism can become unable to form normal social relationships or be able to develop normal communication as a result of their condition from birth or infancy. In addition to being cut off from social contact, autistic children usually engage in monotonous activities and interests that are captivating only to them. There may be varying degrees of severity in their hearing problems. There are autistic children with severe hearing processing problems who may or may not be able to speak throughout their lives, while others may suffer from speech disabilities. The researchers explain that perception differs between and among individuals, including those born to the same parents, leading to different abilities and thinking styles. According to psychologists, autistics have two main types of thinking styles: visual thinking and verbal thinking. Their thinking is often perceptual, whereas ordinary people think verbally. Depending on the remedial procedure, autistic individuals may be able to live a normal life. However, they tend to think visually. According to researchers, visual thinking is the most common form of insightful thinking among autism patients. According to O'Neill, as cited in researchers, visual thinkers express their ideas through images that give them a clear understanding. It's common for people to fathom the world and everything around them in terms of visual images. According to psychological experts, when something does not have an object or image for visual thinkers to associate with, they have trouble understanding it, and that's why some words appear meaningless to them. In fact, the most meaningful words to a visual thinker are nouns, while most adjectives and verbs have no concrete meaning. The majority of people have dissimilar thinking styles. As already mentioned earlier, psychologists have proven that autistics and non-autistics have different ways of thinking. It has been confirmed that non-autistics are primarily verbal thinkers, while on the other hand, they are mainly visual thinkers. The associational thinking process of visual thinkers differs from that of verbal thinkers, and their attempt to convey one thing to another in a manner that may not be articulate to verbal thinkers. They may refer to two things in a manner that sounds of context. As an example, autistic people may associate their lack of fear for heights with the height at which airplanes fly, believing that airplanes fly high because they're not afraid to fly. Depending on where an individual falls on the autistic spectrum, autistics and visual thinkers differ, so that not all autistics are highly visual thinkers or process information similarly. Autism sufferers with severe cases take longer to become able to speak verbally, or they may never speak or have speech difficulties for the rest of their lives. Individuals' visual thinking is ultimately affected by difference in growth, development of their auditory and verbal capacities. Now, before we continue, we'd like to ask a few moments of your time. If you want to support Autism Answers and its mission to spread awareness about autism, please leave a like and click on the subscribe button. This would help us to create more engaging content for you. Now, moving back to where we left off. Various individuals have different visual thinking models, according to researchers. On the one hand, there is a category of visual thinkers who can retrieve memory or pictorial images in a manner similar to searching through slides and are also able to manage the speed at which the pictorial images pass through their imagination. While others are unable to control the speed at which the images are retrieved and may end up with too many pictorial images being retrieved simultaneously and filling their minds to capacity. Likewise, some autistics have difficulty understanding written or spoken information in terms of visual representation. There are also autistics who are unable to hold visual images together, meaning that some have speed problems when converting a piece of information into visual images, while others have mental challenges when putting together visual images. A person's state of mind and the quality of their visual thinking are both surprising factors that affect their visual thinking. In autism, visual thinking is not the only type of thought process. In other words, autistic individuals are not automatically visual thinkers. In the same vein, there are visual thinkers who are not autistic even though they show signs of autism. Despite this, research has shown that the majority of autistic individuals are natural visual thinkers in most situations, but not always. This fact owes largely to their auditory and verbal challenges, which, if left unchecked in good time, worsens their autistic condition, which in turn makes it more difficult for them to communicate for the rest of their lives. A substantial number of autistics at the working end of the spectrum and those at the more intellectually challenged end of the spectrum may not necessarily think in pictures, according to researchers. Several researchers say that the majority of people are not capable of thinking in visual images and are therefore denied what would work best for them. As a result, their intelligence is incorrectly determined by their ability to connect visual images with words. As a consequence of the aforementioned argument, all, especially teachers and parents who deal with autistics, should be warned against rushing to assume that the individual should have the ability to visualize at a certain point in time. In order to fully understand a person's thought patterns and decide what kind of help will fit their unique condition, you need unshakable patience. It's important to note that not all autistic people are visually inclined in their thought process. According to research, some autistic individuals think in kinesthetic images that cannot be converted into mental images and have difficulty learning non-configurative things that are difficult to visualize through perceptual means. Experts assert that not everyone with autism is a highly visual thinker and that not everyone processes information similarly. In harmony with this sentiment, experts claim that not everyone is a highly visual thinker. When combined with mental conditions, visual skills are important, but they may pose a threat to autistic individuals' communication abilities since they are more often than not visual thinkers. Therefore, it is imperative to understand autistic children as early as possible in order to provide the assistance they need. Associative and spatial thought patterns in children with autism must be understood since they are actual thinkers. Researchers have argued that spatial thinking have both pros and cons, as on the one hand, it makes it easier to see certain patterns in the world and infer images from them. However, he claims that spatial thinkers may have difficulty with things that are largely one-dimensional, especially when they involve drawing a unidimensional line from a variety of multidimensional alternatives. And that's what we have for you today. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you want more content related to this topic, make sure to check our channel. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.